We must come to see now that the alternative to disarmament, the alternative to a greater suspension of nuclear tests, the alternative to strengthening the United Nations and thereby disarming the whole world, may well be a civilization plunged into the abyss of annihilation, and our earthly habitat will be transformed into an inferno that even the mind of Dante could not envision.
Whether it be in the civil rights movement, the free speech movement, or protesting the Vietnam War, Berkeley has historically led the charge in advocating for peace and equality. In 1986, the city passed the Nuclear Free Berkeley Act as a means of opposing the arms race. However, due to a combination of non-scientific wording and impractical measures, the act has proven to be more of a bureaucratic hassle than an effective political statement. The act broadly prohibits work related to nuclear weapons and reactors in the city. To accomplish this, the act prevents the city from granting contracts to any person or business which knowingly engages in work for nuclear weapons, and from making any new investments in businesses that knowingly engage in work for nuclear weapons or the components of nuclear weapons. This has hampered business unrelated to nuclear weapons. For example, in 2004, the Berkeley Public Library purchased a self-checkout system using radio frequency identification technology from Checkpoint Systems. In 2008, Checkpoint Systems conferred the rights to sell and service its systems to 3M, a large global corporation that has contracts with the Defense Department. When the library asked the city for a waiver to issue a service contract with 3M, it was initially declined by the Peace and Justice Commission because 3M, quote-unquote, refused to certify that it does not engage in nuclear weapons work. The waiver was eventually granted in 2009 by City Council with additional restrictions. The Act also has other unreasonable and potentially dangerous requirements. For example, it mandates that every facility housing nuclear weapon work has a visible sign stating, "Nuclear weapons work conducted here." It also attempts to restrict university and laboratory work involving peaceful nuclear research. It is no secret that nuclear weapons pose an existential threat to the entire world. In order to have a more effective voice in banning nuclear weapons globally, Berkeley must update its Cold War-era policy. A measure has been proposed to amend the Act, renaming it to the Nuclear Weapons Free Berkeley Act. The new Act would advocate for the elimination of nuclear weapons worldwide by August 6, 2045. It removes unnecessary financial burdens imposed on the city, removes language related to nuclear reactors, and more clearly defines nuclear weapons as the target using precise language. It also advocates for the repurposing of government funding of nuclear weapons towards combating climate change. By making this amendment, Berkeley will continue its legacy of being a champion of world peace, while having a clear voice that is rooted in science, practicality, and truth. If you are a registered Berkeley voter or are otherwise interested in supporting this measure, please go to nuclearweaponsfreeberkeley2018.github.io and sign the petition.
And I, for one, appreciate the fact that you here at Berkeley have constantly reminded all of us in our whole nation that we must review our values